I'm often asked about using mold soap on my 3D printed shape cast molds. So we get this, and then I get my trash can, I put the mold soap in the trash can, and then take the 3D print and assemble it with binder clips. Really, I don't use mold soap at all. I think that's surprising for a lot of folks. And indeed, early on, I just went ahead and used it because I'd seen other people using it. This is Murphy's Oil Soap. This is basically a name brand that lots of folks use. You can also get purpose-made mold soap. So when we're using mold soap, what problem are we trying to solve? From what I can tell people talking about this, they're using it as a release agent. And in some cases, this is definitely critical. In others, like with my 3D prints here, it's not needed at all. So this here is a two-part mold. Has one piece of plaster and then a second piece of plaster that get stuck together. With shape cast, these are poured separately. However, with traditional plaster mold making, this would be done as two separate pours. We'd have our master piece that we want to try and make a copy of. We would do one pour, and then we would go ahead and do the second pour once this has set. In this case, the mold soap very much is needed, but it's only needed in one particular area. In particular, it's needed on the plaster. Plaster is a crystal, and it actually is pretty good at adhering to itself. It's not quite the same as pouring it all at once, but if you pour more plaster on top of existing plaster, the crystalline structure will grow together, and if I poured this on top of this, it would be inseparable. And that's where the mold soap actually comes into play. So I was doing a bit of research to try and figure out exactly what's going on here. One, the plaster is porous, so the soap can go and sink into all of those pores. The other thing it's doing is it's actually reacting with the plaster itself. From what I understand, basically the soap is going and grabbing onto the calcium ions inside of the plaster, and that is creating basically soap scum. And it's the soap scum in particular that's acting as the mold release. It's not the soap itself. So there's this chemical reaction that's happening. It's creating a barrier so that when we go and pour the second part of plaster against it, one, the crystalline structure can't grow on itself, and then that waxy surface is also acting as a release. With shape cast, these are all poured separately, so it's not serving that purpose here. I think the other thing that mold soap can do is if you have a porous material, it can get down into all those pores, so basically the plaster has a harder time seeping in. 3D prints really aren't porous, not in any meaningful way. So if you had a plaster master, you would definitely need to go ahead and put mold soap all across this. For the same reason you would need to put the mold soap on the surface between two plaster pores. If you're using other materials for your master, maybe, I'm not sure. You're definitely not getting the effect with the calcium ions and creating that soap scum, which is a release, if you're using other materials. So what about putting it on the 3D print itself? If it is creating the soap scum effect, when we pour more plaster, that actually seems like a bad thing, because now we have a layer on the inside that we want to be absorbent that now has an effect. That's if it's happening at all.